Caden Foster loved to document his life with his phone. Silly selfies in the car, posing with buddies on the high school field where he played varsity soccer. So when he died suddenly in January 2023 of fentanyl poisoning, and his parents went seeking answers, a lot of what they wanted to understand was on his phone. I was in middle school when the news of Caden's death broke. As kids who lived and breathed soccer, my friends and I looked up to older players like Caden, and his death shook our entire community. But at the same time, the opioid crisis seemed far away. Then it happened again, and again, and again.
An overdose was critical since in the Wakefield High School.
Female student possibly overdosed on fentanyl.
In the opioid epidemic that the United States has been fighting since the 1990s, there was one thing that people took comfort in. While many children suffered the loss of a parent or other adult, among the more than 1 million Americans that have died, kids were very rarely dying themselves. But, over the past few years, teen deaths have jumped sharply. Washington, D.C. and the close-in suburbs in Maryland and Virginia, where I live, is a hotspot where the rate of teen deaths is increasing much faster than the country as a whole. Landon Hausman was a sophomore, a basketball player from Bethesda, Maryland, at a school where basketball was huge.
You would look at him and think, okay, here's this kid that's got everything going right for him.
Malcolm Kent, who lived in Annandale, Virginia, played lacrosse and was a wrestler. He volunteered at his church.
A child with amazing energy.
Teen drug use looks different today than it did in past generations. Thanks to the anonymity of social media, anyone can type an emoji code into their phone and connect to drug dealers, send money electronically, and then get a packet of pills delivered to them like a pizza. Few kids seek fentanyl on purpose. Prescription medications like Xanax for anxiety, Adderall for ADHD, or more recently Percs or Percocets, a painkiller, are the drugs of choice.
There are a lot of contaminants, so people who are smoking what they think is cannabis, it might have fentanyl in it. Something with cocaine might also have fentanyl in it. I would say 100% of what is marketed as Percocet is not Percocet. It's always fentanyl.
From the time span between the first time they used fentanyl to the time when they were using daily to the point that they had a problem, it's generally a matter of weeks and not months or years.
Caden Foster was an optimistic and outgoing kid, a good student, a good athlete who was close to his parents. Then one day, he was playing games on his PlayStation and connected with the person who would introduce him to drugs. The new friend was a college student, a lacrosse player who graduated the previous year from Caden's high school in Northern Virginia.
When he came back for his winter break, they took these pills. We know that it was because of the evidence that we have around the 18th of December. And 6 weeks later, I found Caden dead in his bed.
On the day he died, Caden used his phone to order 3 30-milligram Percocet pills at $35 a pill, paying with Venmo.
Getting access to these drugs is as simple as in the palm of your hand through a social media app. And we're dealing with global drug traffickers who want to reduce their risk and reduce their overhead and increase their customer base and increase their profits.
My patients have showed me that dealers are reaching out to them over social media.
So apps like Telegram or Snapchat, they might be more open about advertising exactly what they're selling.
Snap's foundational product feature is disappearing messages, which draws in both minors interested in evading parental oversight, as well as drug dealers interested in dealing to vulnerable minors without detection.
The algorithms that developed married potential buyers and sellers up, and they connected them. In Caden's case, he used Snapchat to communicate with the dealer, but they weren't introduced over Snapchat, so the distinction there.
We believe that social media companies have not done nearly enough to address these problems.
The families of more than 60 teens and young adults who died from pills they bought through Snapchat have sued the company, and in December 2024, the California Court of Appeals granted them an important victory, rejecting a request from Snapchat to dismiss the lawsuit on the grounds that the issues were due to third-party content that the company does not control. Tightening safeguards on social media is a start, but affected families say more comprehensive federal emergency action is needed. For Caden Foster's parents, it's about targeting the organizations that made the drugs. For Malcolm Kett's mother, it's about fixing the medical system. For Landon Hausman's father, it's about educating teens to make better choices.
We're drafting as legislation so that when a hospital tests for drugs, that one of the drugs they test for is fentanyl.
You know, I've had this lifetime of consequence, this lifetime of sadness. I'd like to think if Landon knew how his death would affect us, you know, maybe he would have made a different choice.
In late 2024, 2 people were charged in Caden Foster's death, both only a few years out from their teens themselves. One was the friend he met on the PlayStation. He was 22 and pled guilty to 1 count of distribution of fentanyl. The second was a 26-year-old woman who was arrested and charged with the much more serious charge of distribution resulting in death. Her case will go to trial this summer.